Hi, everybody. My name is Belinda, and this is Belinda's Book Nook, and I am here today to do a Friday read, which I didn't get to do last week. I thought I was all the way to the last minute that I was going to record, and it just didn't happen. So here I am to give you an update on where I am with my reading, my Belinda's Back to School TBR books, what I'm thinking about for October, and all that. So let's get started because I always take up too much time. No matter how much I rush, it's still the average. It's like 20 minutes. So, I'm trying to be better. So the first one that I am reading is Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art by James Nestor, and I'm totally engrossed. And listen, do y'all hear that? Listen. Yes, lots of tabs already in the book. Really enjoying this, finding it so interesting. I'm reading this for my science category for Belinda's back to school TBR. If you go back a couple of videos, you can see I just wanted to come up with an interesting way to approach my fall reading. But I am not, averse to joining in read-alongs or readathons during the fall. I just wanted to find a cool way to get onto my bookshelves. Now, that said, this is not on my bookshelf because this one is in the library, but most of the books are books that I own. But this one I had heard a lecture or talk with this author, I think it was on NBR, and I was like, I gotta read it, and I'm finding it so interesting. What I'm gonna do is I'm approaching it, well, let's not tell everybody, but I am writing really faintly in here where I flagged so that I can come back and I want to kind of summarize and pull out some of those interesting points from the book. I haven't got to the point yet. He's talking really about the background and why mouth breathing isn't detrimental to our health and how we were really meant to breathe from our nose. He starts kind of from a historical aspect and talks about, prehistoric times, and then he comes to the present, and then he talks about this experiment that he and another fellow are in to discover how breath affects their wellness. And he's hinted at in here techniques that he is using to help strengthen his lungs, which is one of the things I thought was interesting, how he talked about, we talk about all our other organs, we talk about working our biceps and working our heart muscle, but we don't really talk about our lungs and the power of breath and how that affects everything else in the body. And so it's really interesting. I am just itching to get to where he talks about techniques on how to improve it. I know that I mouth breathe at certain times. Sometimes when I'm working and I'm really focused, sometimes my mouth will be open and I catch myself. And in general, though, I've been kind of trying to observe myself and like catch myself throughout the day and see, was my mouth open? Was I breathing through my nose or through my mouth? And it was also interesting because he also talked in here about, so for example, I have allergies. We all know that. And a lot of people have allergies. And so this time of year and sometimes for people all year long, they have, flare-ups, and it kind of causes a lot of congestion. So it's really difficult to just breathe through your nose. So you're usually going to breathe through your mouth. But he talked about how it's kind of a vicious cycle that mouth breathing begets more mouth breathing, nose breathing begets more nose breathing, and that inflammation can be decreased and help improve for these other type of ailments. So I'm really am fascinated with that. Both my son and I have allergies, and his is really, he gets very congested for a good part of the year. And so I really want to see what I can kind of glean that might be helpful for him too. So I'm enjoying this. That in a nutshell. The one that I chose for math is The Oxford Murders by Guillermo Martinez. And this is the cover. It's an old book that I've had on my shelf. I think that I got this, and I'm positive. Yeah, I got this at a used bookstore in a while back. And so I really wanted to read it. And I'm finding it interesting. This one I chose to be math. And I really think that I am correct in saying that, because the characters, there is a person that dies, and it's under mysterious, and this isn't going to spoil anything, under mysterious circumstances. But the two gentlemen that found that person are talking back and forth, and they start incorporating like math theorems and theories and applying it to the aspect of how research is conducted for a murder or a case and things like that. And you may not know this about me, but I have kind of, I don't want to say it's a math aversion. I just never was really fantastic with math. I've been more on the creative side. And I get a little nervous when I'm like, oh my God, I gotta perform some kind of mathematical feat. It's not that in here, but he refers to things like theorems that I have no idea. So the other day I was reading and I asked my husband, I said, I mentioned one of the theorems to him, and I go, is this like a real math thing? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I think it's kind of interesting how he's incorporating it into the story. And so I am enjoying this one. I am about 60 pages in, so that's about that much. I'm not halfway yet, but I'm enjoying it. But I definitely am like a little floored with it whenever they mention things like that. Now, I also have the other book, the astrophysics one by Neil Dyson. What is it? Astrophysics for the Rest of Us or something? I can't remember the name. I started that one, and that one kind of intimidated me. It was like really, kind of going in. And I wanted a little more layman's terms. I will revisit that because I thought I was spreading myself too thin with both sciences. So once I finish this one, I will go back to that one and get to that. And then, let's see, what else did I have? I had another one. I thought that I was thinking I was going to try to address, and I don't think that I'm going to get to that, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So it's October, and October is Black History Month in the UK, and my lovely friend Dee Dee always does, Read So Lit. She does it for Black History Month, which is February here in the United States, and I love reading along with her. She also has a Patreon group if anybody's interested. And sorry, the windows are open and I can hear things. I thought it was I have this, it's a solar, it makes the water kind of, like, it makes a water feature of your bird bath. And if it dries out, you'll still hear it spin. So that's what I was hearing through the window. I don't want to annoy my neighbors because I need to put water in it. But that's a whole nother thing. So anyhow, Dee Dee is reading a book for the UK Black History Month, and I wanted to read along with her. So I'm trying to, I have to say that this is the weirdest thing, that I haven't really bought any books in a while, which is really strange. I think I'm in a semi-reading slump in terms of my speed and willingness to sit down with books. So that's making it a lot easier for me, I guess, to be in that slump. But the book that she picked, I decided I was going to get it on my Kindle to conserve space, because we're going to have to revisit again in the new year, the bookshelves, and do a little more purging. And I've also read some books this year that I want to do maybe a giveaway and see if people are interested. Let me know if you guys would like that, because I'm thinking probably during Black History Month, I will just give away books that I have kept that I liked, but don't need them on my shelf. Yes, the windows are open because the weather's decided to now go to almost 80. It's 75, I think, degrees out there. And if you could see what's on this side of me are all of my bins with all of my sweaters, because I was getting ready to convert my closet. I'm like, I'm not wearing shorts anymore. I'm done. We're done. We're fall. I'm ready. I'm all in for fall. And now we've had these 2 days that are really hot. So I have the window open. So I apologize for the sounds you're going to hear, coming on the street. So this book that she's reading, I'm taking so long to get to it. Drum roll, please. It's called Second Class Citizen by Bucci Amicetta. Amicetta, I think so. And this is a cover. I hope you can see it. I'll tip it. I always do this because I don't want you to, I'm going to drop it at this point, but I always want you guys to see the cover of it. So there's that. I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can see it. I've read a book by her years ago, and I believe it's called The Joys of Motherhood. And I might still have it in my collection because I have a couple of bins downstairs that have really old books, like from college time and a little bit after college, and that was among those books. I'm pretty sure I didn't get rid of it, but when I saw the name come up, I remember her name, and I was like, oh, and I was like, maybe I should read this along with them. It's a short book, and it was written, I think, in the 70s. Am I right? Am I wrong? Hold on, let me see if I can find the, I think, yeah, 1974 it was first published. And the description is really kind of vague. I think the description in the book, my digital, which I don't know if I can get to it from here. Let me read the one that's in Goodreads so you can see what I'm talking about. Like, it's like, okay, well, that's really small and generic. This is book description. A poignant story of a resourceful Nigerian woman who overcomes strict tribal domination of women and countless setbacks to achieve an independent life for herself and her children. Like, who writes blurbs like that? Like, give me more. Like, you know, why I want to read the book. But let me look really quick while you have me all here and see if I can get a description that came with this about this book. It's a classic tale of a Nigerian woman who overcomes strict domination. Yeah, that's all they really say. No, wait. I found a little more in here. In the late 1960s, Ada, a spirited and resourceful woman, manages to move her family to London. Seeking an independent life for herself and her children, she encounters racism and hard truths about being a new citizen. Second Class Citizen pales a lot of academic feminist writing into insignificance. This is The Guardian. Actually, excuse me. That's a quote from The Guardian. But that's the description. You don't really get that much more, and I kind of like it like that, kind of going into it blind. I get the gist from that one a lot more than I did the one in Goodreads. So I'm interested because I really did like The Joy of Motherhood. Although I told Dee Dee I can't really remember it and I may have to read it again, but I go because it was so long ago. My brain, I wasn't taking notes back then with books, so I'll just remember I liked it or didn't like it, but I won't always remember details. So there's that. So I will probably try to tackle that one this month to read along with Dee Dee because I love to read with her. And then the other thing is the new Black Panther movie is coming out in November 11th, I believe. Right. And so, you know, my kids, I had an alarm set on Monday to pre-order the tickets for us to go. So I got our tickets, which it was, okay, this was like 10 o'clock in the morning and the theaters were already filling up, which boggles my mind that people buy them ahead. But obviously I'm jumping on the bandwagon, so I contribute to that. So I got our tickets, and this next one, Wakanda Forever, I believe is going to follow along with the graphic novel Shuri. Now, I don't know if you all have been following me that long, but you know that I started Shuri and I didn't finish it, and I can see it over there, so I'm going to get up really quick and grab them and bring them over here. Quick, 1 second. Okay, so I have, and I'm like a comic book nerd with my son. So I have actually some issues. I have the issue here. It's because I love seeing all of the different covers that they have for them, the variants. So this is 2, which is really a lovely one. The second edition of it. But this is the first bind up of Shuri. And I had started this, and I think I made it through 1 and 2. I didn't finish it. So I want to read these before I go see the movie in November. So these will be getting tackled. I also have this one, which I think this is another one. Yes, this is, I love it. It says it right in the back for me. This one is Shuri issues 1 through 5, and this is 6 through 10. So if I read these two, I feel like it will help me with the movie, and it will also allow me to understand a little bit more. And hopefully that this is how they're going to go with it, with regards to it. I also have this World of Wakanda, that is a another variant one that I just didn't read, but I want to read it. So I think I'm going to pop this in there as well as a thing. And then I have this, which is not, it just has characters from it, but this is another one I made, just read it as a as another side comic to read. And this one is Voices Legacy #1 by Marvel, but it does have Black Panther in it, and I think it's got I think it's a bunch of different characters in here from some of the books that I've read. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. So for this month, I'm looking to at the very least, conquer 1 through 10 in Shuri, and see if they pull anything for the movie. Probably not, but anyway, so there's that. And then the other thing was, is that it? I think there was one more book that I was looking into potentially for October. I gotta do a little more research on it, and then I'll talk to you guys about it next week. So that's where I am kind of with my reading. I am moving along. It's just, sitting still. And my doggie, Ella, my puppy, she has moved into a new phase where she's very clingy. And so she wants to be around me, which is lovely, which is what you always want with your dog. But then, like she's definitely getting some separation anxiety. So we're trying to move and to do some different routines to kind of help her kind of wean from that so that she won't be too clingy. So I've been really trying to work on that, and that's kind of like taking up some time too. I guess the first year of a puppy is really like, like having, no. I'm not going to say like having a baby, because we all know that's not the same, but it is challenging because you are going through the different stages with a puppy that are, like right now she's in the teenage phase. So she's definitely like, I'll say, sit, Ella. And she's like, yeah. So there's a lot of attitude. I mean, like a teen, and it takes her a little while. She'll finally sit down, or she'll stare at me like, and then she'll finally like sit down, so we're going through a little of that, but it's still good. It's still so good. And I'm so grateful that I have her. The other thing I was going to say before I go is I've been coloring. And there's also coloring challenges online. There's anything you can do. There's always something. So they have a thing called Inktober, and it's really was created, I think in 2009. And it was really for people that wanted to really pursue and strengthen their drawing skills. That is not myself right now. But I am taking it and stretching the definition. Instead of it being just Inktober and I'm just drawing and inking, I am considering when I use different mediums, including my pencils, which aren't really ink, to work on my coloring books or anything else that I do with inks. And so I decided I was going to try to color not one a day, but several through the month for Inktober. And so this one is a really cute, like this one's great because I like this one because it's very small, simplistic. I have some amazing coloring books that have so much detail in them, and they take a lot of time to work on. These are nice because they are literally a circle with this little mouse in here, and they are seasonal. This one's a Halloween coloring book, and the illustrator is Morgan O'Brien. And so this is the first one I did. They look like this, like, so they're black and white, and then I don't know before and after, but this is the first one I colored. And so I am coloring these and just kind of working my way through this book. It's a really fast one. And then I wanted just to share one other one. I don't know if I showed this to you last year. This one is a really cool one. I think I got this last year. It's a color by number, which if you're really intimidated, it's always fun to do it that way because you don't have to worry about color combinations. You can just follow it and it's just mindless, and you can just listen to an audiobook like I usually do, or a podcast, and it's very relaxing. So with this one, they give you a chart. This one's called Autumn Inspirations, and the artist is George Toufakis. I don't know how you say his name. But what they do is they give you, like I said, in the front, they give you, and they show you also, the page is already colored, but they show you a little chart of numbers, right, will correspond. So I went through my Prismacolors and I created a little chart of which ones that I would use. So I decided, and I did a picture last year in here, I think so. But this year, I just started this yesterday. Well, just don't look at the bottom because I spilled a little water on it. But I'm going to fix it. But what I decided to use is, for ink, wanted to use my Tombow markers. And so I'm starting over here to put my equivalent for the Tombows for these colors. And I started coloring a page like this. But look at where the water spilled. And then guess what? I go to dab it with paper thinking I could sop up a little of it really quick because I had no napkin. But that paper had swatches on the back. So I transferred the green on it. But you know what I'm going to do? This is a gourd down here and it's green. So I'll just try to make it darker down there. So I'm using markers in here. So this could be an Inktober as well. But this has like really beautiful pictures. Like you can see in the back, here's one. Are they really pretty? And when you do them with pencils, it is a lot less vibrant. Unless you use like Dewart Inktense pencils, and those are watercolor, you could get some vibrancy there. But what I'm using right now, the marker is much more vibrant, so it's kind of fun and more close to the colors you're seeing in the front. So I have that to kind of do. One of the things I've noticed though in the last month or so, I haven't been listening to audiobooks. I've just kind of, so I got to get in my zone because that's where I get a lot of reading done as well. So I want to know what you guys are reading and what are you doing for the weekend. We have a long weekend here. My son's coming home, so there will be a chance that I won't read as much as I would have. He's coming home to visit, bring some laundry, hang out, and so I'm excited about that because it's weird. This is still a transition for me, getting used to him not being here. So that's my plan for this weekend, is to kind of hang out with them. I don't have any big plans. I think tonight we're going to go out for some sushi for dinner. And I do need to swing by Barnes and Noble, and they closed ours, so I have to go out in the next town over to go to theirs to pick up a book, and which it is kind of exciting because I haven't gone to any bookstores in a while, and it's kind of sad. So anyway, I also realized we're in the beginning of October, and remember I told you guys December is going to be my month off, and I want to stick with that. So I want to hold myself to not creating a TBR. Now, it's not to say that I won't read anything in December, but I feel like that is going to be my month to just kind of reset and get ready for the next year. And by saying that, I think, looking at what new releases are going to be coming out in the new year, getting my list together of ones that I want to, watch out for. I didn't do that this year, and it really has been unsettling because I forgot, and then I have to be on Instagram to find out when a book's coming out. And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that, so I like when I do that. That's one of the things I like to do in December. I want to do my video with my book journal and stuff like that at the end of the year. So I think December will be a great time to do that. I just want to reset. I think, I love doing this channel, and I like having all the conversations with everybody, and I love talking about books. I just want to make sure that, just taking care of myself and not like making it a job. And every month I have to read books. And, it's funny because when you meet people that don't read books all the time, it just, sometimes you're like, oh my God, that's not the only thing that I do. I have other things that have other interests. So I want to let December just be kind of holiday family, relax, reflect on the year of reading, create a video that will do that. I've never done that. Look back at what I read I know Dee Dee posted a nice question, which I haven't commented on yet because I saw it when I wasn't supposed to be looking at my phone. I was getting ready to go to bed, but I saw a great question of how many male authors have I read, books by male authors have I read this year? And I started going, I think I got to 3 so far, but I was like, I'm going to look in my book to see because I can't remember everything that I've read this year. And I think that's an interesting thing to think about and talk about too, is just like, do you gravitate? Like, I think I don't naturally to female writers, not intentionally. I remember if there were a period of time, there was people that were putting up, read female authors, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I don't need to consciously do that because it seems like it happens. It seems like there's like an influx of a lot of female writers that kind of come across my sphere of book discoveries, and then I also will, if I find an author I like and they write more than one book, I'm just staying with them. So but I can say I think that it was the reverse before I got onto BookTube, that I don't really know, but I feel like I might have written more men before I got onto BookTube than I do now. I have to think about that. I have to look back at my journals to see. And it's not a preference thing, or conscious thing. It's just whatever I'm interested in reading. And I think with the men, I tend to read more nonfiction than fiction. That's a thing to think about. Think about that, right? Do you read, that's a good question. Like, do you read like a different, like more male authors for fiction or nonfiction? Just kind of like, that would be something to talk about, like I say, in December. But I love the question, and I have to let Dee Dee know I like that question. I want to answer, but I couldn't answer because I was like, I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I don't know how many I've read. But just, I geek out on things like that, like charts, just thinking of how I read. Do I read a lot of fiction? Do I read a lot of nonfiction? Is it a certain type of genre? Things like that is interesting, which I think you all are like that as well, because I think the book community kind of helps create that interest. So I am babbling. I'm going to go drink this before it completely melts my smoothie. I want you to have a wonderful weekend, and I will check in with you guys next week, and hopefully I will have at least 1 through 5 done on Shuri. I would like to be closer to almost done with this one and making some progress in this. And then with regards to the one with Dee Dee and them, I would love to be at least a third of the way through the book. I read a couple pages and it seems like it's going to be good. But I haven't really gotten further into it. I need to get into it, so I can go a little faster. It's not a long book, so I definitely, will try to conquer some of that this weekend and do some coloring and stuff like that too. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you have a great weekend. Relax, read. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know what you think. And if you want to read for the UK Black History Month, do check out Dee Dee's channel. She does a lot more stuff on the Instagram lately, although I'm trying to kind of persuade her to do more on both, because I still love videos. I like Instagram for Instagram, but there's still a difference, and I know it takes some time to record, to make videos, but I love to hear the voice, and it just gets me excited about books. So I hope people don't just dump one to do one platform versus the other. I think you can do both and still make everybody happy like me. Anyway, that's my play, Dee Dee. I know you're watching. I know you hear me. I want more videos. Anyway, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.